tonight on the Mac to the Future Go. I think it's episode 65. I can't be sure because I didn't check that before I actually started, and so that's my bad. Tonight, Apple gives up the self-driving goods to prosecute an employee who tried to steal stuff. It's the 10-year anniversary of the iOS App Store, a disturbing patent troll, and going on a road trip with a gas buddy. This is the Mac to the Future Livecast. Okay, here we are. The Mac to the Future Livecast. And I am your host, Guy Searle. I don't have Warren Sklar with me today because he had a doctor's appointment that he had to take care of. And as usual, anything related to health and doctors and all the rest of it, I avoid like the plague, because if I had the plague, I'd have to go see a doctor. So, here we are. I got a couple of stories to talk about tonight. Chances are, since it's just me, it's not going to be that long a show, but we'll see how things go. Something to talk about before we actually get started. Next Wednesday night, I may not be able to do a Mac to the Future livecast, since that will be my travel day going to Chicago for the Macstock Conference and Expo, which you can find more information on. Let's see if this works. It does work right there. Macstock Conference and Expo.com. I have been playing around a little bit with Mimo Live, and I won't say I'm an expert. I won't say that, but I do think I have most of the functionality down. A lot of the shortcuts I have down. I figured out how certain things work better than other things. Don't know exactly what's going to happen with that, but we will see. I'm going to try my best, as I usually do, and fail miserably. Now, of course, next Wednesday, I'm going to be going to Woodstock, Illinois for the Macstock Conference and Expo, which is going to be July 21st and 22nd in Woodstock, Illinois. You still have time to get tickets, and I believe you still have time to get the $70 discount for like a whole weekend of fun and frivolity. It makes your total basically $179 for the entire weekend. So you've got the entire conference, you've got the Friday night get together, you've got the Saturday night get together, you've got everything going on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, this is going to be like off the charts. And if you guys miss it, you're going to be sorry. So check it out, Macstock Conference and Expo.com, or if you just Google Macstock, I'm sure it's going to come up. Other thing is, for those who don't know, I've got a different car. I've been looking for a while for a Kia Soul. Now, I did have a Ford Flex, which is this huge behemoth of a vehicle, and it was a great family car. We took lots of great trips in it down to Florida. I've drove it to Chicago a couple times. We've been in New York and Nags Head and Charleston. I mean, we went all over the place in this car and had it for 9-10 years. But now that the kids are gone, it was time for me to get something that I wanted, or something all I wanted was something smaller. I didn't want a sports car. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on getting a car that was, just another car. I wanted something small, something that I could just go back and forth to work in, economical, do all the things I need to do, and the Kia Soul. And huge bonus, I actually fit in the car. And for those who haven't met me, I am like 6'6" tall. So there's a lot of cars that I can't even consider. But the Kia Soul I fit really, really well in. It surprised me over how big on the inside that it was. And I took my time. I was really, really looking for a particular model with particular amenities, and I finally found it. Had to go kind of out of my way to get it. But I got the car that I wanted, and so now I'm happy. Ford Flex is gone, and I'm now in a Kia Soul. And thank you, Paul, for welcoming me to the Kia family. Well, Frank, we're only back on the Kia because I finally got one. And I've done the last couple guide daily drives while I was driving that particular car. I'm going to be doing some more on my way out to Chicago, so you guys need to keep an eye out for that. If I'm not able to do a guy's daily drive, I should be able to get out a couple of I can't even talk tonight. If I can't get out of Mac to the Future next Wednesday, I will, at whatever hotel I end up at, get on their Wi-Fi and put out a guy's daily drive based on my travels towards Chicago. Now, first story, there was I just labeled this bad employee bad, and it was a story that I found over on Reuters. That's the link for it right there. Basically, a former employee for Apple who booked a last-minute flight to China after allegedly trying to steal proprietary information from Apple about their self-driving car plans, and he also downloaded the plans for one of the circuit boards. And I know I'm going to mess up his name. Zhaolang Zhang. Wow, what a name. Disclosed intentions to work for a Chinese electric car startup just prior to attempting to leave the company. And then he booked a last-minute flight to China. Absolutely nothing suspicious about that at all. According to some sources, he was shown some of the advanced circuitry and a proprietary chip, which could mean that Apple is creating their own hardware and software for a driverless automobile. In order to file the criminal complaint, Apple may have had to reveal more information than they would have liked about the barely acknowledged technology that some say upwards of 3,000 to 5,000 people with Apple are currently working on. Don't know. If Apple, I've spoken about this with Gazmaz over on the mymac.com podcast several times, and he's convinced, and there's no evidence to the contrary one way or the other, that Apple isn't actually working on a car, that what they're doing is developing the technology, and this would probably, and if he's right, this would be added on to some of the other services that they're currently providing. I mean, services for Apple is becoming this huge thing. But would Apple actually to go to the trouble to create a car and to build a car and to put a car out there and have to deal with all of the nonsense that goes along with developing, purchasing, marketing, and all the rest of that, a car? Or would they just want to have the technology that they could sell or license to other companies to use? That's what Gaz thinks. I haven't really made up my mind one way or the other, and there's no evidence one way or the other to say yes or no or please or thank you, ma'am, over whether Apple is doing that or not. Hey, Andrea, how you doing, sweetie? Love you too. I don't know why Frank said John Smith. I don't know why Frank said John Smith, but it doesn't matter. The next story that I have is the iOS App Store this month turned 10 years old. And this was a story that I saw over in macstories.net. And essentially, now I was at the keynote for the iPhone in 2007. Myself and Tim Robertson, a couple of the other people from mymac.com, my brother Larry was there. As a matter of fact, there's a movie called Mac Heads. And if you take the time to go and find it, It's like right around the 6-minute mark, as I recall. I haven't looked at it in a long time. There's actually a shot of me while Steve Jobs is doing his keynote, and it's like a side-on shot. I'm standing there. My hair was back in a ponytail. Shocker. And I'm videotaping Steve Jobs on stage. Now, what exactly happened to that videotape, I have no idea. But I was there, and if you look at the MacHeads, the MacHeads movie, right around the 6-minute mark, you'll see me there. And I think within 10 to 15 seconds sitting down, there'll also be a shot of my brother Larry, who, like I said, was in attendance at the time. Now, when the iPhone was first released in 2007, Steve Jobs stood on stage and basically said, there's the only applications that they were going to accept for the phone, other than the built-in applications that Apple was going to provide, was web apps. And it became immediately apparent that that wasn't going to be good enough. So by the next year, Apple released an SDK for native apps for the phone. And once they did that and actually opened up the App Store for developers, that has started a 10-year climb of Apple services. Now, Apple services was actually still kind of a big deal even before the App Store, because you had iTunes, which was part of it. And it just seems like the iOS App Store and the Mac App Store, iTunes, and everything else, now we got Apple Pay and possibly even this thing with car automation coming up, CarPlay. What's the one? The one with home automation, whatever they call that. I'm sure somebody will tell me here in the chat. These are all adding to Apple's bottom line, to the point where the Mac is kind of an also-ran as far as revenue goes. But it all, it all adds up. But a couple of the notable numbers in relation to the App Store. In 2008, it was launched with roughly 500 free and paid apps and games. In 2009, in-app purchases were added for paid apps, followed by free apps a few months later. In 2010, Apple launched its iAd in-app advertising platform, so you could offer free apps and have it, get some revenue back on that based on advertising. By 2013, its 5th anniversary, the App Store, the iOS App Store featured over 900,000 apps. So in 5 years, Apple had 500, almost 500,000 applications in 5 years. By 2015, Apple's senior vice president, Phil Schiller, took over responsibility for the App Store. In 2016, Apple expanded the categories of apps that can use auto-renewing subscriptions. They discontinued iAds and launched a search ads program. There were free, time-limited in-app purchases. Were also used for the first time to approximate free trials of apps. In 2017, Apple redesigned the App Store with daily editorial content. And by 2018, as of WWDC, the App Store offered over 2.1 million apps and had paid developers over $100 billion in 10 years. So $100 billion being paid to other developers of applications that will run on your iOS devices. And oh, hey, Mary Jo, how you doing? She is, Mary Jo running from Northeast High, my old alma mater, way back when. Mary, I don't know if you're going to there's so much drama concerning. Now we're coming up on our 40th high school reunion for the class of 1978, which I can't even say my connection with that other than the fact that I was attending the school at that point. But there's like competing high school reunions. There was all kinds of weird stuff kind of going on in the background. I was not looking forward to having to choose between them, but as it turned out, it didn't matter because it's the weekend right after Macstock. So Macstock is the 21st, 22nd. The high school reunion was going to be the 28th and 29th of July. And there was no way I could go from the DC area where I live out to Chicago, spend however much time I was going to spend out there, come back to DC, and then go down to Florida for this high school reunion. There was just no way. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be there. I've gone to a couple of them through the years and arranged for some of the people that I knew way back when to meet down there. We met there was a brewery called, the Blue Parrot or something like that. It was on 38th Street, Dixie Highway, where the old Sears warehouse is, because everybody knows where that is. Yeah. And it was like a homespun brewery. They made their own beer there. The food was pretty good, and we just got together with some of the people that I knew from back then. I traveled down to Fort Lauderdale, and we had a good time. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not going to be there this year, so that is too bad. Now, I'm going to take a quick little break here, if I could see where, there it is right there. I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, I've got 2 more stories, and then I guess we'll just chat for a bit. It's because I'm all by myself. So you guys hold on, stand by, as I say in the mymac.com podcast, and we will be right back.
This is Private Eye Macintosh, and I'm here to tell you about a book written about me and my search for the Maltese Cube. Yes, it's a fine book. I think you should get it. Quiet, you. It combines technology, Mac trivia, action, murder, suspense. Oh, just tell them where to get it. I'll get to that. Romance, film noir detective fiction. I can't stand it anymore. It's called The Maltese Cube, and it was written by my Mac writer and podcaster Guy Searle. Find it on Amazon. It's only $2.99 and coming soon to the Apple's iBook store. Don't forget, it's The Maltese Cube and so inexpensive. You know you're not in it, right? I'm in the next one, right? Sure thing, Louie. This could be the start of a beautiful friendship. Get The Maltese Cube on Amazon and soon in the iBook store.
Yeah, some of my so well crafted commercials. I did not mean to hit that. I meant to hit this instead. There we go. Okay. Thanks for hanging out. And I got 2 more stories to talk about, and then if there's anything else that you guys want to talk about, that we can go about that. Let's see. Actually, Frank, what a coincidence! The author has the same name as Guy. I know. And you know what? He's a hell of a writer. Who would have known that? First story for this part of the show. Patent troll disturbs Apple over the Do Not Disturb patent. Patently Apple, that is the name of the website. Let me get rid of that right there. Go away. That's the link to the story. Was the first to discover that a non-practicing entity, and if you don't know what a non-practicing entity is, that's basically someone who holds patents or a patents portfolio, but doesn't actually do anything with them. Typically, these are patents that they have bought, some company has bought from another company, and they have absolutely no intention of making anything with these patents. All they want to do is wait for somebody else to do something that's either exactly like that or close enough to get them into court and try to sue them to get some money off of them. And Apple and Microsoft and Google and so many other large tech companies have been subject to these kinds of nuisance lawsuits throughout the years. And sometimes maybe they could have some validity, but for the most part, these guys are just useless. And the fact that most of these patents never should have been awarded in the first place, that the descriptions of the services that they're talking about that the patent was for are so broad that it never should have been awarded in the first place. Anyway, I've mastered the crawl. Yeah, but see, if I go down and crawl right now, no one will be able to see me. So, the name of the company that is doing this is SMTM Technology, and it is suing Apple for infringing on a patent acquired from someone else titled Mobile Device in Active Mode and Inactive Mode Verification. In their formal complaint before the court that Apple's Do Not Disturb feature introduced with iOS 11 mirrors their own patent, SMTM said that instead of licensing our patent, Apple gambled. God, just the wording of this is so funny. Apple gambled that SMTM and Mr. Bovis, who I guess was the person that applied for the patent, would not have the business acumen or the capital to vindicate their claims under the Bovis patent. Well, if you had a valid patent, you would have done something with it other than just sue other companies. And this was a patent that I guess this guy applied for back, it was, before 2010. So, really, if you can't come up with some way to monetize whatever your idea is, or if your idea is so broad that, you're basically just waiting for someone else to create something that sounds like it, and then you're going to sue them. I'm sorry, you suck. That's, I don't know what else to say. You just suck. So, I get the feeling that now SMTM, according to some of the stuff I looked up, has also sued Google and Microsoft. Microsoft settled, I guess, and either gave them a lump sum to make them go away, or is licensing whatever this patent is, this Do Not Disturb patent. Apple, it is yet to be seen whether Apple is going to fight it in court, or if they're just going to, give in and give them a little bit of money to make them go away. Now, they just finished the whole lawsuit with Samsung that's been going on since practically the original iPhone came out. And you'd think that they would have some spare lawyers just sitting around that they could use to fight this. But apparently, with their current lawsuit, not really lawsuit, I guess their legal troubles with Qualcomm over some other patents, that maybe they don't have the lawyers to spare. Yeah. Can't have enough lawyers if you're somebody like Apple. Now, as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm getting ready to go to Chicago next year, and not next year, next week. Wow, really? I'm just having all kinds of trouble this week. And in some of my searching around for ways to make my trip a little more interesting, a little more fun, came across this app. And I'm kind of split on whether I think it's good or bad. Parts of it are pretty cool. Other parts of it are kind of like, really? You expect people to do this? It's called Gas Buddy. And it sounds like a great idea. This is an app that shows where you are. So it uses the GPS that's built into your phone or whatever device it is that you have this on. It knows where you are and what and how much gas. This is another one of these crowdsourced applications like Waze and some of the other ones, where other people that use the app are letting you know how much gas is in certain places. So wherever you are, if you can basically look up how much gas is in some of these different places, or where it is that you're going to next. And then here's the part that I don't really like. You can, and it sounds great right at the beginning, you can save up to 30 cents per gallon if you sign up for one of their accounts. Except in order to get that discount and eventually it does drop down to about 15 cents a gallon, which also, that's not bad. 15 cents off a gallon. But you have to give them your banking info, and only buy your gas through the application. I'm not really sure how well something like that is going to work. Your personal information. I mean, you're on Facebook. You know the score. Facebook takes the information that you give them and they sell that to other people. That's just how Facebook works. There's a reason why Facebook is free. There's a reason why Google services, all the things that Google does, is free. It was my phone over there. Should have turned it off before I started. Nothing is for free. There's always a price to be paid, and all of these things. And I'm not discounting Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram and even LinkedIn and pretty much all of these social services that people like to use on a regular basis. If you aren't paying for it, then you are the product. You're not the customer. You're the product. Your information is being sold to other people or given to other people so that they can use that to try to sell you stuff. And whether it's a new pair of sneakers or the next president of the United States, it's all right there in your feed. And they know how to try to get you to buy some of this stuff. So the fact that this is yet another application that not only wants your information, and you have to sign up for an account with this, and I just did it through Facebook because who cares? Facebook already has all my information. And it does find, as far as I could tell, the cheapest gas in the area that you are, but I'm not going to hand over my banking information to anyone to save 15 cents a gallon for gasoline. And honestly, neither should you. Any company that is trying to sell you a service, but then you have to turn around and give them your banking information. And I'm not talking about credit cards. I'm talking about banking information. Don't use that service. Or at least don't use that part of the service. It's just not worth it. So, it's going to be a short show tonight, guys. I'm sorry. I was talking earlier, the reason why I'm doing all this traveling is because Macstock 2018, it's in its fourth year. The dates are the 21st and 22nd of July, and as usual, it's just outside of Chicago in Woodstock, Illinois at the, and I always mess this up, Luecht Conference Center, which is located in Building B of the main McHenry County College campus there in Crystal Lake, Illinois. The cost for the entire conference with no add-ons, jack it up later, is $99 if you get a single-day ticket, which is good for either Saturday or Sunday. You also get a Macstock 2018 t-shirt and lunch for that for whichever day it is you choose, or for $249, really $179 with the coupon code MyMac. That includes lunches, the t-shirt, other special swag for the weekend pass holders, the Friday night welcome party, Barry's Midwest Mac mingle, whatever it is they're going to do on Saturday night. But wait, there's even more. Tim Robertson and I are going to be doing the My Mac quiz, and we kind of did this last year, and it was a lot of fun, and we're mixing it up a little bit this year. Instead of asking the audience the questions, we have a panel that we're going to ask the questions to, and then each one of them will have an answer. Only one of them will be right. And then whoever the contestant is, they have to decide which person has the correct answer. And it's going to be up to the panelists to really, really sell whichever answer it is that they have, even if it's the most ridiculous thing ever. But it's going to be so much fun. And Woodstock, Illinois is just about an hour outside of Chicago, really easy to get to. If you can't get to Chicago, I don't know where you live, but it's going to be a blast. You don't want to miss it. if you would like to get a hold of me, all you have to do is contact me via email, guy@mttfgo.com or guy@mymac.com, probably. I can also be found on the Twitters. I am Mac Parrot over there on the Twitters. God, what else? There's, of course, I'm here on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I've got all kinds of stuff. If you'd like to help kind of support the crazy stuff that I do, you don't have to. I'm going to keep doing it whether you do or not. I have a Ko-fi page, Ko-fi, ko-fi.com, Mac Parrot. I also have a Patreon page, patreon.com, Mac Parrot. And what I need to start doing is creating some exclusive content for people that sign up for the Ko-fi page or the Patreon page or whatever. However it is that you want to help support some of the stuff that I do. And I really, really do appreciate it. We do have a Skype number. It's a Skype number that we share with the mymac.com podcast. That Skype number is 703-436-9501. If you call that number, I will figure out some way here in Mimo Live to broadcast that message over there or right here on this show. And something we're going to try to do. I know Chuck Joyner, he did it, or I did an interview with Chuck. I guess it was about a month and a half ago where we were talking about Macstock, and something that Mike Potter wants us to try to do in regards to being at the Macstock Conference and Expo is to try to do some live stuff there. And in years past, that's been an issue because the bandwidth there at the McHenry Community College wasn't the greatest, and I really don't think that it was up to doing live casts. However, in talking to Mike, he has assured me that they have redone their wireless network out there. So I'm going to take some video equipment along with all the audio equipment that I've shown here in the past. I'm going to be set up to record up to 4 people at one time. And I will also have some video going. So we'll see how all that goes. And it should be a really, really good time. So if you're near Chicago, you do not want to miss the Macstock Conference and Expo. So thanks for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully, it won't be next week since I won't be on next week. But the week after that, maybe. It depends what day I get back and how exhausted I am from driving back from Chicago. We'll get Warren back on here and things will make a little more sense because Warren will be here. Right. So thanks you all. Thanks to all of you for joining me. This will be up over there on the YouTubes in just a little bit as soon as I edit it a little bit and get it up over there. And then I will repost it here so you can watch it without all the craziness at the very beginning. Though it'll still be a little nuts. And I will catch you the next time. Not just next time, but the next time. Here on the Mac to the Future Go Livecast. Yeah.